For the mere week that Jimmy Kimmel was off the air at ABC, Democrats like Governor Gavin Newsom screamed about protecting free speech. Well, now that Kimmel's back on the air, Newsom is poised to sign a crazy anti First Amendment bill here in California that would impose $1 million fine if you post something on social media that the government deems to be hate speech. Coming up, we'll tell you about Senate Bill 771 and why we need to stop it. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state legislator. And I watched with humor in the last week as Democrats across the country, in particular California Governor Gavin Newsom, and some of my colleagues in the state legislature, as they clutched their pearls and decried censorship and cancel culture. You can't make this crap up. These are the inventors of cancel culture, the left. And these folks, these politicians, particularly Newsom, they don't care about our free speech rights or the First Amendment. They wantonly violate our rights. I'm not going to go and relitigate why ABC suspending Kimmel has nothing to do with the First Amendment. I've already covered that in a previous podcast. But I will talk about the hypocrisy, where Gavin Newsom is now poised to sign a really bad bill, and Democrats in the state legislature have already voted in favor of a really bad bill here in California that would eviscerate your First Amendment rights and is patently unconstitutional. I'm talking about Senate Bill 771. And a lot of online commentators have started to raise red flags about this bill. I'm going to get into the specifics of the bill and how we're fighting back. But just so you know, this is not the only infringement on First Amendment rights that the legislature passed this year or that Gavin Newsom has been involved in. And that's why when these hypocritical actions happen, when these actions that infringe on our freedom are coming about, we at Reform California are fighting to alert you and to fight back. So I'm asking you to join our fight for your freedom and to take back the state from the tyranny of the left by going to our home base on the internet, reformcalifornia.org, reformcalifornia.org. Up there, you'll have access to all of our news and information on California politics, plus our campaigns like the California Voter ID Initiative, the No on Prop 50 campaign that we're running, plus all the candidates that we are recruiting, training, and filing for office, everything from school board all the way up to state assembly and state senate. We need your help, so sign up at the bottom of that website. There's a sign up portal. Just put in your first name, last name, email, phone, and zip code, and you will be tethered into our growing movement, and you'll receive updates once a week on news as well as events in your area. We are going to do a number of events in the coming weeks all throughout the state of California. I'd love to meet you in person at one of those rallies. Plus, please consider chipping in a contribution to put gas in our tanks so we can do the work to fight for freedom and to take back our state. With that, let's get right into it. You may have seen some posts on social media from a number of podcasters and influencers decrying Senate Bill 771 as an infringement on free speech. And some people said, oh, this can't possibly be true. They didn't actually do this. Oh, yes, it is true. And it is as bad as people have said it is. Let me first start out with the hypocrisy. Gavin Newsom posting to X that we need to defend free speech. Quote, there's no such thing as free speech under Donald Trump's reign. Bitch, please. You are the number one violator of free speech. This is a guy who signed a bill mandating that physicians are not allowed to give medical advice to their patients unless the government approves of it. And if they do say anything in contrast to what government thinks, state government, not the federal government, state government, that they could lose their license. Democrats in California passed a bill mandating that faith-based crisis pregnancy centers had to promote termination. And the Supreme Court overruled that law, but it took several years for that to go through. I could go on and on and on. The one that was the most recent, Gavin Newsom, in the last few weeks of the 2024 election, signed a bill that said you're not allowed to post anything on the internet, deep fakes, that mimic politicians to mock them. Mocking politicians is like as old as the Republic. Ben Franklin published cartoons mocking politicians, and rightfully so. I mean, where would we be as a country if we weren't able to mock our politicians, Gavin? That bill was immediately overturned by a federal judge and ultimately overruled by the federal courts. Newsom does not care about any of our freedoms, whether it's the First Amendment or the Second Amendment. So the idea that he's sitting there clutching his pearls saying, oh, free speech is under attack, and all the Democrats in the state assembly and the state senate saying the same thing for the past week, these cancel culture activists are the ones that are passing laws, weaponizing your state government illegally, unconstitutionally, against your freedom of speech. The latest comes in the form of Senate Bill 771. It says personal rights, liability, social media platforms. Now, most people now go and post on social media. This is now the newspaper of our time. It's the radio. It's the TV of our time, is the social media platforms. And that's where people are getting information. That's where they're sharing their views. That's where they're engaging in civic discourse, sometimes not so civilly. But hey, that's the First Amendment. I don't like hate speech. I don't like it when people are mean to others, but they have First Amendment rights to be idiots and bad people. The government can't tell them what they can and cannot say. An employer certainly can. And if you post something on the internet that's embarrassing or shows that you have no moral conduct, your employer has every right to say, we saw something you posted online and we're going to terminate you. Because it's a private arrangement, employment. The employer has rights to not associate with someone who may be controversial. Anyway, so when the state government says that we are going to evaluate your speech and maybe penalize you for what you said, that's like open shut textbook First Amendment violation. Oh, but here we have Senate Bill 771 that says, and I'm going to zoom in on this. First they do the whereases. They say that there's hate crimes involving anti-immigrant slurs. There's anti-LGBTQ disinformation, harmful rhetoric. So they basically throw out a whole gaggle of groups that they say are being attacked, but they use terms in this law that are very vacuous. Like, what is disinformation on the LGBTQ community? What's harmful rhetoric? If I say that a biological male shouldn't be in a girl's locker room or shouldn't be contaminating or making the sport unfair, contaminating the fairness of the sport, is that disinformation or harmful rhetoric? Like, why does government have the right to define what it feels is harmful or disinformation? I mean, I would say that government knows a lot about disinformation given how much it pumps out. Anyway, they talk about anti-Islamic bias. They then go on to say that social media platforms worth $100 million or more, which would be basically all of the social media platforms, now will have a financial civil penalty for each violation. Look at Title 23, Section 3273.73, that the social media platforms for each violation would have penalties. If they aid, abet, acts in concert, conspires with, in violation of this law, that they shall be liable for a civil penalty for each violation. Is that each post? Is it each like? Is it each retweet? This is going to add up real quick. If they know intentionally, if it's intentional knowing or willful violation, it's $1 million per violation, per act. If it's a reckless violation, it's a civil penalty up to $500,000 if it's just reckless. Well, what's reckless? If evidence demonstrates that the platform knew or should have known, you should have known what's on your platform, that the plaintiff was a minor, the court may award up to twice the penalties described in this section. So, why does this impact your speech? I'm glad you asked. This is government saying that if you say something they don't like, they're going to penalize the platform you use to say it, which means that the platform is then going to turn off your ability, moderate, ban your ability to speak. The reason why this is unconstitutional is that government is saying, well, we're not finding the person saying the bad words, in our opinion, what we deem to be bad. We're just going to cut off their access to the platform. We're going to turn off their phone because we don't like what they're saying. That's in essence what we're doing. Okay, if it was the old days where we had a telephone system, the government can say, I don't like what you're saying on the phone, so I'm just going to stop you from saying it. Or, I don't like what your newspaper has to say. I don't like your editorials. I don't like your news coverage. So I'm going to ban the presses that you need to print your paper. This is by effect a direct assault on an individual's ability to speak. And they know it. And this is exactly their goal. And the social media companies, if this bill goes into effect, and right now it's close to going into effect, there's only one thing that's stopping it or keeping it, keeping us in suspension. I'll get to that in a minute. If this bill goes into effect, free speech on social media platforms, done. It will be challenged. It will also be ruled unconstitutional. But in the interim, your freedoms are abridged, infringed upon, violated. Free speech just is chilled. Oh, and just in time for an election. Now, what is the status of the bill? Take a look at the votes. I read the bill. I read my bills. And I have the most no votes of any member of the legislature. I vote no 34% of the time. And let me tell you, it's more than justified because there's some really bad bills that the Democrats, supermajority in Sacramento, pushed through. But on this bad bill, I'm one of only 2 votes against it. Yeah, of 80 people in the assembly, I was only one of 2. The other being Assemblymember Stan Ellis. I want to give a shout out to Stan Ellis and say thank you for reading the bill and doing the right thing. The Democrats, all the yes votes were Democrat votes. Every single yes vote was a Democrat vote. Where is it now? Where's the bill? It's passed both the Senate and the Assembly. It's sitting on Gavin Newsom's desk. Oh, yeah, the same Gavin Newsom that says there's no such thing as free speech under Donald Trump's reign. You think, Gavin? Well, you know what? A good test of whether you support free speech is, will you veto this bill? I don't think he will. If he does, it still doesn't make up for all the other transgressions. That's why I'm making such a ruckus about this right now, and I'm glad that others are as well, is that we need to put pressure on Gavin Newsom to veto this bill. If you're really all about free speech, veto the bill, buddy. And if he doesn't, I'm sure a lawsuit will be filed within 30 seconds and there will be an injunction, just like what happened to the bill he signed 2 years ago. Or actually, it was a year ago. He signed it in September of 2024, a year ago, saying that you can't mock politicians in social media posts using, artificial intelligence and deepfake. So that's where the status is right now. But here's the thing. This crap should never have gotten to Newsom's desk in the first place. I want to see more Republicans voting no, joining me. I also need to flip more seats so that we don't have Democrats that are able to get a bill like this through the system without a really loud chorus of opposition. So I'm urging you, don't sit on the sidelines. The first way that you can exercise your speech, don't worry about contacting Newsom. He doesn't give a rip about what you have to say. One way to contact people and exercise your free speech is with your word, your emails, your calls. But politicians don't care about that. Politicians care only about one thing: how you speak at the ballot box. And that's why Reform California exists. So exercise your free speech of a contribution of $25, or exercise your free speech in liking this video and sharing it with your friends. Help us spread the word. Subscribe to this channel so that you continue to get updates on bad bills and other campaigns that we are waging to take back the state from insanity. That's how we exercise our free speech. That's how we defend our freedoms, is by getting involved and raising our voices. Do that now, before it's too late. Until next time, I'm Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California and a California state legislator. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state. Reform California with Carl DeMaio is paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly.